Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the September 2023 LEA Special Education Point of Contact webinar. My name is LaShonda Wilson, and I am an Education Program Specialist here at OSSE. I'm joined this morning by my OSSE colleagues across multiple divisions as we present content pertinent to policy, monitoring, systemic supports, and professional development for LEA SPED POCs. We'll give folks a few moments to join us and get logged into the webinar. Take a moment, grab a cup of coffee or grab some water while we wait just a few moments. Also, just as a reminder, a downloadable version of this handout for the presentation is under your handout section on your dashboard. It actually contains links to any of the resources that we'll be discussing today. Be sure to download a copy for your reference during and after the webinar. All right, again, good morning again, everyone, and welcome to the September 2023 LEA Special Education Point of Contact webinar. My name is LaShonda Wilson, and I am an Education Program Specialist here at OSSE. I'm joined this morning by my OSSE colleagues across multiple divisions as we present content pertinent to policy, monitoring, systemic supports, and professional development, for LEA SPED POCs. We'll begin with our introduction, then move into policy reminders and updates this morning. Also, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act monitoring and updates. We'll then segue into transportation reminders and updates, and then also followed by non-public reminders and updates and teaching and learning reminders and updates. This morning we'll conclude with announcements and reminders. OSSE is very pleased to bring this webinar monthly from September 2023 to June 2024 to you. Each month, our divisions coordinate to bring the most important information to support you in your roles as LEA Special Education points of contact. We hope you find this information today and in the coming months helpful. It's always our aim to centralize resources and supports for you to easily reference in your day-to-day activities. I'll hand it over now to Christy Weaver-Harris to review policy reminders and updates. Christy?
Good morning, everybody. This is Christy Weaver-Harris. I'm the policy manager in the Division of K-12 Systems and Supports. I'm going to give you some updates and reminders. Next slide, please. As a reminder, all federal and DC requirements remain in effect during the transition to special programs. And this is regardless of access to or functionality within the system. You are responsible for documenting special education processes in accordance with IDEA and Chapter 30. Now, I know some of these things look different in special programs, but it does not change your obligations. Special programs is a documentation system, and you're just reminded that your obligations remain the same. So we've gotten some questions about compliance and whether timelines still apply, and the answer is yes, all requirements will apply. OSSE has discretion when it comes to monitoring on those requirements, and we'll be taking the issues that you're experiencing into consideration when we conduct our monitoring activities. But from a due process standpoint, you are still beholden to established requirements, timelines, and processes. We're going to continue to go through some growing pains over the next year as we all adjust to the system. I would appreciate it if you could reach out to me directly with policy issues that you see in the system. And as a reminder, the 504 module in special programs is not mandatory, but LEAs are strongly encouraged to use it. So a student's 504 plan can be centrally documented and travel with them if they change LEAs. LEAs may use the template that's provided or upload a separate document into the student's special programs documents. You are still required to submit the 504 yes, no through the nightly feed. Next slide, please. OSSE is excited to have published the Special Education Process Handbook. This was posted on our website yesterday and will be included in the LEA Look Forward this week. This is a non-regulatory guidance for LEAs to use in understanding and implementing special education processes and requirements. It provides a fairly comprehensive overview of special education processes from referral to exit and serves as a companion to the Chapter 30 regulations. So this is kind of like a paraphrasing of Chapter 30. This document combines a lot of guidance that you can currently find like in our existing policies. And we intend to update and expand on this document on an annual basis and based on LEA and practice needs that will be informed by the CPER report and the rollout of special programs. We hope this is a helpful resource, and please feel free to reach out to me with any questions about the handbook. I'll drop a link to it in the chat as soon as I'm done talking. Next slide, please. This is just a quick flag that we updated the ESY policy bulletin to update references to Chapter 30 and data systems. So we've replaced those with special programs. We removed language about obligations during COVID-19 and added some reminder language about the existing requirement to use 3 months of progress monitoring data to inform decision making. But if you don't have 3 months, you must use any relevant current data or information. LEAs must make timely determinations regarding ESY using the data that it has available, and you shouldn't be delaying making those determinations just to collect 3 months of data. This policy bulletin, along with all of our policy bulletins, is available on our special education guidance site, which again, I'll drop a link to that in the chat as soon as I'm done. Next slide, please. All right, child count season is upon us. Child count is the federally mandated annual count of students who receive special education and is conducted as part of the enrollment audit process. It's an audit of students who are enrolled as of October 5 who have current eligibilities and IEPs, and the count, like I said, the count date is October 5, but you have until November 14 to resolve errors or update student records in special programs. Now, I know everyone is experiencing a variety of troubles with special programs. CIO is working to update the UDE crosswalks to special programs processes. Please keep submitting OST tickets as you encounter issues. I know we say that a lot, and I know response times are slow, but the best way to document your problems with special programs is by submitting an OST ticket. Next slide, please. To support accurate child count and enrollment audit data, each LEA is responsible for ensuring all students receiving special education services have valid and current eligibilities and IEPs in special programs. Receiving services under IDEA means the student has an unexpired eligibility and a current or expired IEP and no negating events, so like a revocation of consent type thing. As a reminder, programmatically, IEPs don't really expire. It's more that the IEP is overdue. You're still obligated to provide services on that IEP while you're working to get it updated. Next slide, please. Some common errors you might see during child count may require you to hold an IEP team meeting, so you're going to want to be budgeting for that time-wise. To address an expired eligibility, you'll need to complete the eligibility process in special programs, including the analysis of existing data, ordering additional assessments if needed, and holding an IEP team meeting to determine eligibility. If the student has an expired IEP, you're going to need to create a new IEP document in special programs, including holding a meeting to design or update the IEP that you have from SEDS. If you need to conduct an IEP amendment, you first must manually create an IEP document in special programs and then complete the IEP amendment. So first, to create the IEP document, you do not need to hold a meeting. This is just documenting the existing IEP you have from SEDS. To amend the IEP document that you just created, you may need to hold a meeting, or you can conduct the amendment using documented written agreement. Next slide, please. Just some general tips for child count and enrollment audit here. First, you want to be working with your LEA data manager to make sure that you're updating and submitting data in a timely manner. Just a reminder that student educational environment is pulled from the most recent finalized IEP and will be displayed in the enrollment audit application. Make sure that you're monitoring that application to complete data corrections before November 14th. You won't be able to make corrections or changes after that. OSSE will complete a full review of residency documents for students in non-public placements, so make sure that your LEA has that documentation. And for more information on this, you can refer to the 23-24 Enrollment Audit and Child Count Handbook and our resource page that's specific to enrollment audit. Next slide, please. As a reminder, for the 23-24 school year, LEAs continue to be required to document the first provision of specialized instruction for students under the age of 6 who have specialized instruction prescribed on the IEP, but for whom specialized instruction has not been previously documented. And this is another area where we know folks are having issues with the document, and we are working hard to resolve those issues on the back end. To give you some context, initially we know that folks had problems with not having permissions to access or create the document. We believe those issues have been resolved. I've heard a little bit from folks about having trouble or getting an error message saying that you don't have the authority to edit the document. If you continue to have issues with this document, please submit an OST ticket. We also know that there were some issues with like the business rules for when the document would appear. Again, we resolve those issues, or we're working to resolve some of those issues. If you continue to have challenges, please submit an OST ticket. You can also email me directly if you're seeing these troubles like holistically across your whole school or your LEA, but you definitely also need to submit that OST ticket so that it can be addressed through that process too. I'm happy to receive emails about this process. I know that I've been getting them every day. I know that folks are having trouble with it. I promise you that we are working on it. Next slide, please. And again, this is just a reminder of what that document should look like. So when you are generating this document, it's going to tell you what day you should have provided specialized instruction on. If you believe that that day is inaccurate, please submit an OST ticket so that we can take a look. And if you're having any other issues with this document, again, please submit an OST ticket. Again, you're going to be asked to indicate if the specialized instruction was not provided timely, you're going to be asked to indicate a reason why. This is just to inform training and technical assistance efforts to assist LEAs in effectively and timely implementing that requirement. It's not necessarily a monitoring piece. We really want to be able to better identify the barriers that you're experiencing in that requirement. We know there's a lot of very real and very practical reasons for it. You'll also see that there is an other option here. You can select other and then provides a description. And if specialized instruction was not provided by the date that the system believes it should have been provided by, please, you're going to need to also provide the date that it was provided on. We've gotten some questions about whether you have to do the hard copy forms anymore or obtain signatures from service providers. No, you do not. You do not have to do the hard copy forms. You don't have to obtain signatures. You also do not have to document this as a service log. If the student has a speech-only IEP, you do need to document the speech as a service log, like consistent with how you're doing that otherwise. OSSE pulls that data point for speech-only IEPs from the service logs, not from the specialized instruction document. So please continue to document that service as you normally would. I believe that's the end of my slides. I will turn it back to LaShonda. And if you have any questions, please feel free to throw them in the questions box. You know we'll be monitoring that the whole time.
Awesome. Thank you, Christy. I'll turn it over now to Karen Morgan Donaldson to review IDEA, monitoring reminders and updates. Karen?
Great, thank you, LaShonda. Good morning, everybody. My name is Karen Morgan Donaldson, and I'll be providing some information about monitoring reminders and updates. Next slide, please. Okay, so on July 13th, OSSE released its first special education performance report, which you all know we're calling SEPR. Along with the public release of this report, which is the public release of this report is going to be taking place on September 29th. And along with the public release of this report, and in order to support LEAs with communicating with their staff and families, OSSE is going to be providing LEAs with several resources that LEAs can use. So these resources will be emailed to LEA leaders and SPED POCs on September 29th, and will include a few things. One, the first resource will be a one-page document about SEPR to share with LEA and school staff. It will also include a template letter that LEAs can send to parents to give them some information about SEPR and your LEA's specific score and level. And it will also include a one-pager to families that you can send with that letter. So again, that will be sent to LEAs on the day of the public release, which is September 29th. If you have any questions about this or anything related to SEPR, please reach out to me directly at karenmorgan-donaldson@dc.gov. Next slide, please. Okay, so a lot of people have been asking what's next? What are the next steps in terms of the work around SEPR? So next steps for OSSE will include conducting an in-depth analysis of all LEA's SEPRs. So we are going to look at the data, identify trends, plan for appropriate supports in the form of professional development, technical assistance. We will also implement that plan and monitor for compliance and improvement. So this is a multi-year process, and as I have been sharing with LEAs and our contacts, is that this is step one. This is step one of a long-term plan to improve special education and outcomes for our special education students. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so we've also been getting questions about monitoring for IDEA, our on-site and desktop monitoring. We will be announcing cohort 1 in November, so stay tuned. And this process will be a multi-year process that will not only be looking at monitoring for compliance, but also looking at improvement in specific areas related to LEA SEPRs. So we're really excited about this because this is going to help us and LEAs connect the dots between compliance, outcomes, improvement, and providing supports and monitoring for the improvement using those supports. So more information on that, but again, the first cohort will be notified in November. Okay, next slide. So here are some upcoming IDEA monitoring activities. Later this month, I know the month is coming to an end here, but we will be releasing our C2B transition report in DC CATS. This C2B transition report is reviewing the time period of July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023. So that's federal fiscal year 22. And then our next monitoring activity coming up are our equity requirements. This is our significant disproportionality, significant discrepancy, and disproportionate representation. And again, we are reviewing the time period of July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023. And LEAs will be receiving a notification here shortly during the month of October. And then we will follow up with all the follow-up activities, self-studies, et cetera. If you would like more information about equity requirements under IDEA, you can go ahead and visit our website. I do want to just put a quick flag that as part of significant disproportionality, discipline is a component of that, and also significant discrepancy, which only looks at discipline. Discipline data for these indicators is lagged. So we are actually looking at data from the previous school year. So just a flag there. Okay, our next slide. Okay, so this slide just provides information about what compliance reports are currently open in DC CATS. We have secondary transition, reevaluation, and initial evaluation. If you are unsure of the status of your LEA's reports in DC CATS, or if you have any questions about anything related to any of your open reports or IDEA monitoring for your LEA, please reach out to Deborah Melville, and her email is on this slide. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, just another reminder, OSSE is providing special education law training modules to all LEAs. So the purpose of this tool is to provide ongoing technical assistance and training to all LEAs and all school-based professionals providing supports and services to students with disabilities in the district. And so to support LEAs with using this tool, OSSE has created a scope and sequence of study, which provides a roadmap through the many special education courses made available through these resources. There are a ton of courses offered through Direct Step. So this scope and sequence kind of helps LEAs with a starting point and a finishing point in 3 different kind of units. So it's really exciting. Right now, you can access these trainings outside of the LMS, but pretty soon they will eventually be housed in the LMS, which we're really excited about. So stay tuned for more information on that. And our next slide just gives you a little more information about Direct Step. Again, to access the actual modules where they are now before they are included in the LMS, please visit OSSE Direct Step using the link in this slide. Anyone at your LEA can self-register for any of these courses. These trainings focus on IDEA legal requirements. They're self-paced, and again, they're self-selected. Again, we provided a scope and sequence. You don't have to follow the scope and sequence. It's just a tool for you to use. And the content is really engaging. And there are quizzes and activities to assess you and your staff's understanding of the content. So we are really encouraging LEAs to check this out. And each user that completes one of the courses and completes the assessment and passes receives a certificate. Okay, in our next slide, we have a new monitoring and compliance tracking system which will be rolled out in November. This will be replacing DC CATS, and it is called Stepwell. This system will track findings of noncompliance issued by OSSE and will communicate directly with special programs. So this is very exciting. As we work to roll this out, there's going to be more communication between this system and special programs than previous communication between DC CATS and SEDS. Right now, our trainings are scheduled for LEAs on November 14th and 15th. Please keep a lookout for more information on how to register for these. There will be a session in the morning on November 14th and in the afternoon on the 15th. Important point to note, please continue to use DC CATS until notified of the transition. We will be using DC CATS up until the very moment that we switch over to the new system. Okay, and our next slide. We also have another exciting tool for LEAs. We have compiled a new LEA special education calendar for LEAs, and it will provide an at-a-glance preview of IDEA-related monitoring activities and a chronological sequence and overview of timelines for upcoming special education requirements. So this calendar, which will be included in the LEA Look Forward this Friday, it's subject to change. So we just want to make that point. There are some TBDs or to be announced on the webinar, on the calendar. So just keep checking in. We'll notify you of any changes, but we just want to get this information to you so that you know what is coming and what's in the pipeline. If you have any questions about this, you can reach out to LaShonda Wilson. Again, a link to the calendar will be posted or announced in the LEA Look Forward this Friday. And our last slide, or my last slide. So on October 1st, the LEA Performance Planning and the DL Data Click applications will stop providing current data. This is because of the transition for special education from SEDS to special programs. So I saw some questions about this in the chat. So these reports in Click will still be available, but just the performance part of the performance and planning app and the older, the older data from DL. So these will still be available, but it will not be populated with new data, which I understand a lot of LEAs use that. So we are encouraging LEAs to attend a special programs report writer training, which is available in OSSE's LMS, because all of these reports that were included in the LEA PNP and the DL app can be pulled within the report writer in special programs. So if you have any questions about this, go ahead and let me know. You can put the questions in the chat here, go to webinar. You can also email me as well. And I think that's it for me. I'm going to hand it over to LaShonda.
All right, thank you so much, Karen. All right, we're going to segue now into transportation reminders and updates, which will be given by Chelsea Greer.
Okay, here we go. Sorry, guys. My name is Chelsea Greer. I'm one of the community outreach specialists, along with my partner, Dion Magadou, and we will be going over transportation reminders and updates. Next slide, please. All righty, so for our calendar updates, Many of you did a really excellent job of getting those calendars submitted before our deadline, which was August the 11th. However, and that's supposed to be 2023, not 2013. Any changes to the calendar after that actual submission will need to be submitted through our OSSE tool. You're going to put in a ticket, and then under the ticket, it does have an attachment area, and you can put in that calendar exception template. Once you have submitted that ticket, you can reach out to myself or my partner, Dion. Give us that ticket reference number, and we can look into it to make sure that everything is correct and to see when that actual calendar go live date will be ready for you guys. Please note, not all requests will be honored if submitted within a 2-week window. Emergency closures and or adjustments can be considered by sending a request to OSSE DOT. And those emergency requests could be something related, as far as weather related, floods. Of course, this past summer we did have air quality issues going on within the DMV area. So please go to our OSSE critical info and dc.gov email to submit those particular requests. Next slide, please. All righty, so our transportation policy update. The amount of time a student spends on an OSSE division of student transportation vehicle from onboarding to offboarding during a single commute is known, of course, as that ride time. For the 2023-24 school year, the ride time allocated will be increased. The increase became effective, of course, on August 28, 2023. However, we definitely will take in mind of those students that have active IEPs that may have specified ride times, whether they need to be picked up first or picked up last. But generally, we have increased some of that ride time. OSSE has completed outreach to the parents on the updated ride times. The parents will be notified, of course, by our PRC center. Next slide, please. All righty, so currently travel within DC, and this is not currently, this is prior to that August 28 start date, was 75 minutes. The new travel time within DC is now 90 minutes. Prior to, it was up to 6 miles outside of DC, 75 minutes. Now it's up to 6 miles outside of DC, 105 minutes. Prior, it was 6 to 15 miles outside of DC, 90 minutes. It's now 6 to 15 miles outside of DC, 120 minutes. And as you know, we do go as far as Baltimore. Over 15 miles outside of DC, this is prior, 90 minutes, and now it's over 15 miles outside of DC, which is 190 minutes. Next slide, please. All right, so there are a lot of contributing factors of why we had to increase the timeline of the ride time. New public and charter LEA supported by OSSE DOT since has established ride times, updated traffic patterns, construction and upcoming development projects, new business and personal property developments, distance travel. Once again, we travel as far as Baltimore to accommodate student supports, as well as staffing and vendor drivers, nurses, and vendor services. Once again, if you guys have any questions or concerns, the best way is to reach myself, Chelsea Greer, and that's chelsea.greer@dc.gov, or Dion McAdoo at dion.mcadoo@dc.gov for any questions, concerns, developments, and or suggestions. That is all I have. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Chelsea. All right, next up, we'll hear from Katie Rita and Sharon Powell with non-public reminders and updates.
It's just Sharon today, so go for it, Sharon.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Sharon Powell. I'm the manager of the Nonpublic Oversight and Support Team, and I'm actually going to re-present the 5 slides that I tried to present in last month's Start of School LEA POC webinar, but was not able to, fully due to some issues with the sound quality. So I will try my best to move quickly through these slides. In addition to those 5 slides is this new slide. So here is a list of the non-public schools that we are planning on visiting in this school year and conducting our triennial monitoring reviews. If you, as an LEA, are serving any students who are placed at any of these non-public schools and would like to share your experience collaborating with the non-public school with us, you're invited to do so. We're happy to interview you as part of this review process. So please reach out to me. My email address is provided at the end of these slides. Next slide, please.
Hey, Sharon. We're just going to move past the ones that were presented at last training because they are already posted on our website. So I think if people have questions about what was presented in August, they can reach out to you directly to get more information.
Okay, thanks. So for this slide, yeah, we just wanted to announce that we have created and launched a new non-public SPED POC webinar that started in June. The next webinar will take place, I think it is next week. And just asking our LEA POCs to help us spread the word. If your non-public schools have questions about OSSE resources, this is a good place for them to start. The initial webinars will focus, the content will focus on the transition from SEDS to special programs for our non-public schools. And then we'll transition later in this school year to looking at other areas that are relevant for our non-public POCs. So I think that is it. And there is my email address at the bottom of this slide.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sharon. We appreciate those updates.
Thank you, LaShonda.
Yep. All right, we're going to go ahead and turn it over now to teaching and learning, and we have Bill Yim for our teaching and learning reminders and updates. Bill?
Good morning, everyone. This is Biao Yim, Training and Technical Assistance Specialist for Special Education in the Division of Teaching and Learning. I have a couple of announcements to share from the Division of Teaching and Learning. Next slide, please. The first announcement is the Secondary Transition Capacity Building Institute. Teaching and Learning is pleased to announce in-person Secondary Transition Capacity Building Institute this year. The theme is Expanding Post-Secondary Pathway for Students with Disabilities. The Institute will be held on Friday, September 29th from 8:15 a.m. to 4 p.m. at OSSE Building. Participants will be able to increase their knowledge about secondary transition for students with disabilities and work in teams to develop a strategic plan for improved secondary transition programming at their school campus. We encourage school teams of 3 to 5 diverse professionals to join, as there will be designated team planning sessions with facilitators. The space is limited to 150 educators, and registration closes this Friday, September 22nd. So if you have any questions about attending and registration, please contact me at byal.yim@dc.gov. Next slide, please. Multi-tier systems of support implementation series has been ongoing this summer. There are still sessions remaining that we encourage all educators to join and discuss identifying and unwrapping essential standards, as well as using data to drive essential standards. You can attend by using the invitation link. For questions about registrations, please contact Multi-Tiered Systems of Support Specialist Angela Awanaki at angela.awanaki@dc.gov. Next slide, please. OSSE continues to offer dyslexia awareness training as a part of DC Law 23-191, Addressing Dyslexia and Other Reading Difficulties Amendment Act of 2020. This interactive course is required for all educators serving kindergarten through grade 12. Participants can earn up to 16 professional learning units for completion of all 3 modules. Please register using the link at OSSE Learning Management System. For example, please contact our dyslexia specialist, Dustin Tamsin, at dustintamsin@dc.gov. Next slide, please. Continued information on the implementation of DC Law 23-191. Nearly 10,000 educators have completed the dyslexia awareness module. All LEAs must select an assessment tool to conduct universal training for reading difficulties for students in grade K through 2. Second, you can find a list of OSSE approved screeners as well as screener implementation guidance on our website. We're offering a technical assistant office hours to answer questions and provide support regarding dyslexia legislation on Monday, October 16th from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. You can find more about the implementation from our frequently asked questions document for LEA support and with implementation. If you have any questions, again, please contact Dustin Tamsin at dustintamsin@dc.gov. Next slide, please. We're inviting all LEA English learner point of contact to the upcoming English learner point of contact start of school training on Wednesday, September 27th, 9 a.m. through 11:30 a.m. at OSSE. Participants will receive an overview of their obligations and best practices supporting English learners, as well as insight into the Click app and the various resources designed to aid English learners. Then this event will be in person, and if you have any questions, please reach out to Lucia Cuomo, who is our English learners specialist. Next slide, please. Don't forget to subscribe to OSSE Teaching and Learning Bulletin. All DC educators are encouraged to subscribe to the monthly TAL Bulletin to stay informed of upcoming OSSE offered PD sessions, resources, and tips from our fellow educators. And that's it for me, and I'm going to hand back to LaShonda. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Buell. All right, now we'll have announcements and reminders.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Whitney Kitt, and I would just like to send an announcement that OSSE, in collaboration with the District of Columbia's Office of the Attorney General, will host a virtual training session on child sex trafficking and exploitation awareness. This training will take place Friday, October 20th, and it's from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. It is geared towards our District of Columbia K through 12 educators and school staff who interact with district students. You're invited to attend this virtual training, and you can register using the link that is in the PDF handout version of this presentation. And if you have any questions, you can contact OSSE's Placement Oversight Unit at osse.lre@dc.gov. Thank you.
Okay,
Hi,
this is
everybody.
just, thanks, Karen. Go ahead.
Of course. Just a quick note that Special Ed Connection is a reoccurring and ongoing support that OSSE provides to LEAs. LRP, Special Ed Connection, is a wonderful resource for understanding laws and policies for serving students with disabilities. If you would like more information about this, reach out to me and I can connect you with the vendor who can provide you access. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Sorry for the delay. I'm knocking myself off of mute. This is a reminder that the Progress Center has which stands for Promoting Rigorous Outcomes and Growth for Students with Disabilities, information, resources, tools, and technical assistance to support educators. Sorry about the sound, guys. Is it better? Yeah. Okay. So the Progress Center has a wealth of freely available resources, including trainings, one-pagers, tip sheets, all that kind of stuff. So this is just a resource that OSSE wanted to share to make sure that LEAs are aware of this free and widely available resource. At the 2023 OSSE Leadership and Project Directors Conference, OSSE shared that they released a database of over 200 resources to support LEAs in reducing exclusionary discipline and increasing behavior support. So we're sharing this the OSSE Ideas That Work website, which has both these behavior and discipline resources and a wealth of other resources for you to use unrelated to behavior and related to all things special education. So this is another great free resource that we wanted to share to make sure that folks were aware of it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Whitney, Karen, and Christy for those resources. Okay, if by chance you missed a webinar, be sure to visit our webpage for the LEA Special Education Points of Contact monthly webinar series. A recording and a PDF version of the slides will be available within 1 week of the live webinar. You can also watch previous webinars and download any training resources and materials directly from the site. Now, we need your feedback. Take out your cell phone, turn on your camera, and scan the QR code you see here. You can also access the link to the survey at the bottom of this slide. Each week, we ask that you complete the survey. We utilize the insights you provide us to plan for each month. So tell us how we're doing, request specific content and other resources. We're here to assist you, so we need to hear from you. Be sure to take a moment to do that today. We really appreciate it. We definitely need you all's feedback to make sure we're bringing you the information that you need. All right, and we know we had quite a few questions in the chat. A few have been addressed directly in the chat. So I'll take a moment before we sound off and thank everyone. Just to turn it quickly back to Christy to see if we have any questions most immediately in the chat that apply to everyone that we want to share out.
All right, so we have gotten a lot of questions about special programs. Give me just a second, guys.
One moment, folks, she's adjusting her sound. Wouldn't be a Wednesday without some tech issues.
Now?
I heard now. Say something else, please.
Okay. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry about that, guys. We've gotten a lot of questions about special programs in the questions boxes. If you have not gotten a direct response from me, just know that I am taking all of these down. I will be sharing them with CIO and with the appropriate folks within OSSE to share that out. Again, you do need to keep submitting OST tickets. I know that it's taking a long time to get responses. I do see your comments about how long it's taking to get responses, and I am sharing those with the team. But you need to be submitting those OST tickets so that we can run these issues down. I'm seeing a lot of questions about reports in the system. Reports are currently available in special programs. If you're not able to see them, please submit an OST ticket because not all security groups can see all reports. But we do know that the reports are there, and submit an OST ticket if you need more information on like why you're not able to see it. So again, we can run that down. We got questions about when OSSE will release guidance for LEAs on the parent portal, we have some things that we are working on now. We expect to release them in the next couple of weeks in concert with the Special Education Hub. But we know that like LEAs are having issues getting access to the system, and we don't want to create those same problems for parents. So we're working on those resources now. If you have, there's a lot of like student specific questions. Oh, I shared Sharon Powell's email address for access to the non-public POC webinar, but as a reminder, that webinar is really only intended for non-public points of contact. It's not intended for LEA points of contact, so keep that in mind if you're going to try to reach out to her. See slide. Yeah, lots and lots of questions about reports. Some questions about what to do during child count season. If you don't receive an OST response in a timely manner, to be able to make your corrections during child count. That's an issue that we are escalating up around making sure that appropriate guidance is being issued and also that OST tickets are being responded to. It's something that we're aware of. All right, I'm seeing a lot of specific questions that we're not going to be able to address generally for the group. But if you continue, like again, please continue to submit your OST tickets and email us. I mean, you can email us with specific questions, but you must also submit that OST ticket.
All right, thanks so much, Christy. We appreciate you going through the questions and providing any additional feedback based on those that were posed this morning. Again, if you all have specific questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to us directly for those items that pertain specifically to the areas that we each cover in terms of divisional supports for OSSE. And with that, we have reached the end of our webinar. We do appreciate everyone joining us this morning. Our next webinar is October 18th, 2023. So please be sure to mark your calendars. We look forward to seeing you back here next month. Thanks so much and have a great day, everybody.